was that impact determined? And that's for whomever would like to answer that question.
Well, I've attempted to quantify the impact of that, and it's very small. The Clean Power Plan is only goes after U.S. power plant emissions, which are only part of the U.S. economy, which are only part of the world emissions. So it is that drop in the bucket of global emissions, and as a result, the resulting climate impact of achieving the plan is extremely small.
Would extremely small be synonymous with negligible?
Yes, I would say that's correct.
Ms. Dykes, do you have a similar or different opinion?
Well, again, I would say from the Connecticut experience, the programs that we've put in place, our participation in RGGI, you could say, while we've achieved significant reductions, 40% over the last 10 years, that's only one step towards what the globe will need to do in order to have a meaningful impact on reducing carbon emissions. But it is so critical that everyone make these steps because it is a global pollutant. And so, the leadership that we show by compliance with the Clean Power Plan, I think, sets a model and paves the way for other states, other countries to take action as well.
Well, let's worry about the United States for a moment. What kind of impact does this plan, the Clean Power Plan, have on the world situation?
Well, the United States is a major emitter of greenhouse gases. The Clean Power Plan will achieve up to 32% emissions reductions from the electric sector, which is our largest source sector. So I think it's going to have a very meaningful impact in U.S. leadership in carbon reductions.
Do you have any way of quantifying what the Clean Power Plan's impact would be on total global emissions? Some kind of percentage?
I don't. I know that that's available from the EPA, and we see that we think that this leadership is really necessary and overdue.
Mr. Magnus, do you have an opinion?
Sir, as the grid operator in Texas, we haven't examined or modeled the global impacts I think that you're referencing. So I think certainly some of the concerns Mr. Knappenberger raised have been raised by our state leadership, but we haven't modeled those in our particular study.
Dr. Smith, are there public health impacts when people lose their jobs and have lower incomes? And did the EPA take those into consideration in its rulemaking for the Clean Power Plan, in your judgment?
There are impacts when people's spending power is reduced, and this regulation is projected to reduce spending power. When that happens, people have to make substitutes in their choices, and there is evidence in the literature that there are health effects and, in fact, mortality and greater mortality rates when spending power is reduced. Now, EPA did not account for this in their particular analysis of costs or benefits.
Is there any way in your judgment, given the information that you have and your experience and intellect, that you can share with us what kind of increase in mortality that you would anticipate from the Clean Power Plan on the economic side as opposed to the alleged benefits on the pollution side?
I think the best way to think about that is to just simply compare the costs and the benefits, and when the actual benefits, the climate benefits, are properly assessed and taken in a U.S. context and compared to the U.S. costs of this plan, it's not a good purchase.
Another question, Dr. Smith. How can EPA claim economic benefits from a rule that will increase consumers' electricity prices, decrease electricity reliability, and shut down affordable energy sources like coal-fired power plants?
Again, the issue is these actions have costs, and costs have consequences. And when the costs are taken into consideration, they're quite substantial, and they could create harm that's imminent and current in return for potential estimated benefits that are far in the future and appear on a U.S. basis to be less.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. I see my time is about to expire. Mr. Chairman, I yield back the remainder.
Thank you, Mr.